Since Shang Tsung is a sorcerer type character, there's some things you got to put in consideration before I even say anything and get started. To be blunt, his power level does vary because he's a sorcerer. He has different ways to make himself stronger and stuff like that. He's one of them characters that will take your power, steal your soul, and get amped up that way. You're probably going to hear me mention some of this over and over again in this video. I just want to give you a heads up. You got his base form, states of mind when he's amped up with different souls. This can vary depending on how many souls he has in his possession. And when he literally becomes a god by getting a Titan's crown, Chronicle's crown, where he becomes stronger than everybody and all your favorite characters combined, if we're being honest. This Titan that's pretty high up on the food chain had like this super duper crown. This is the part that makes Shang Tsung impressive because thanks to Shang Tsung's knowledge about different sorcery and souls, it was actually Shang Tsung's design in the first place, this crown. He even calls it his finest work. He's proud of this powerful device. So one can say he's even mightier than the Titan that had the crown on because he has more knowledge about its power and everything of that such. I mean, he is the master of souls. You're going to see a lot of soul stuff in this video. So yeah, I just had to throw that out there before I continued. But I'm going to get to that later on in this video though. A universe filled with a bunch of superhuman type fighters with different type of abilities, different fighting styles, users of different weapons, tomato. Every universe has to have their magic sorcerer obsessed type being. This being I'm talking about today is Shang Tsung. He's like the Doctor Strange of Mortal Kombat when it comes to magic and stuff. He's a sorcerer. And he's obsessed with souls.
Your soul is mine. Your brother's soul is mine. Your soul is mine.
Your soul, his soul, our soul, every soul is his, you know. In his defense, there's some reasons why he's obsessed with souls. When you dig into his lore, he's obsessed with souls in order to retain his youth. Who wouldn't want to stay young, right? Despite the time travel shenanigans that goes on in Mortal Kombat, this seems to be a common theme with him being obsessed with souls and the fact he's a sorcerer, and pretty much no matter which reboot we're talking about. A common theme, no matter what timeline we're talking about, is that in Mortal Kombat, there's different realms or universes, different planets, Earth Realm and Earth Realm's own universe, Outworld, the planet, and its own universe. You see what I'm saying? It's like a different universes, different dimensions, which spawn a lot of different type of creatures, which is probably the reason why some characters can live certain lengths of time and some characters specialize in certain things or attributes. According to the old lore, his place of origin was Outworld, this place right here, and he used to work under. He was Shao Kahn's lead sorcerer, so he used to work for Shao Kahn on Outworld. Stated here, he was his lead sorcerer, you know what I mean? Working for Shao Kahn, getting buffs for his services, upgrades. Throughout this video, you might see him have different looks, like looking old here in old games, but then changing looks, getting his youth restored. You're going to see him young and old a lot in this game, changing ages, you know, because of the adventures. It's a common theme. That's why in certain games, you will literally see him have two different looks in the same game. Old and young, old and young. Then his alternate self would meet a noob sorcerer himself. Yeah, I'm going to get to this stuff later. This is him in the new game that's not really that good at sorcery in the beginning of the game's events until he meets an older, more mature him from an alternate timeline. But you know, everybody backstabs everybody, you know. But one thing that's a common theme we can all count on is that he's always pretty much a sorcerer no matter which continuity really, and he's obsessed with souls. Sucking the soul out of a being here. Even in his lore stated that he's obsessed with souls. Some of these brutalities and stuff like the babalities, when they turn you into a baby, obviously that stuff isn't canon, but stuff like this, we've literally seen him do in cutscenes, like sucking your soul out. So this type of stuff, he does have the power to actually do. Yes, even in older games, you see him sucking souls and draining them. That's a common theme. I guess green is the color of souls, I guess, because every game you see him doing some type of green projection, which is him consuming souls, basically. And due to being a sorcerer type character, one could say he's one of the most versatile characters in the verse because some people just have one thing they specialize in, but him, he seems very versatile. It would be weird if he was a magical person that couldn't lift you up with his mind telekinetic style. It would be weird, right? It's implied he can do that too. Usually when characters are this good at magic, there isn't really a need for hand-to-hand combat, if I'm being honest. Like, we would see him mix his hand-to-hand combat with his magic and stuff. Yeah, I wasn't playing. He has multiple fighting styles, not just relying on energy blasts and stuff. You gotta get an idea of his fighting style by his different stances in hand-to-hand combat, like crane stance. It's implied he can use an actual melee weapon like a blade if he needs to, a sword. You can see in this particular game, you see him using the blade here. In the newer game, you can see him using some like blades on his wrists or some weapons on his wrist, you know. Like in this picture, you can see it also with his lore, of course. I personally love when cutscenes show his hand-to-hand combat without even using green. You don't see no green aura or no fire or nothing like that, no energy projection. Just straight up hand-to-hand combat skills. He will use his martial arts and hand-to-hand combat abilities to get an opening for his energy projective type of attacks when he creates distance after hitting combos on you. That's when you see him summon stuff out of the blue when he gets distance from you. Like, that's his fighting style, you know what I mean? To make you defenseless. Magic is perfect for a character like Shang Tsung, who specializes in trickery, looking like different characters. That's his thing he does a lot. He seems to have magic that can make portals so he can teleport far away, quick escape if he needs to. One can say this is how he's able to summon armies to him, because he can make a portal to where beings can aid him from any location, summoning a whole army basically here for this example. You actually see this kind of stuff happen in cutscenes where he literally summons beings from the underworld to attack you from beneath. So it kind of shows that it is a part of the lore and it's not just something that's game mechanic heavy. So you don't only have to worry about him, you got to worry about his little minions coming from literally the underworld itself to come and take you out. Even in new game, it's implied he can summon beings from the other world, like allies at will. This could be fatality fun, but bruh, did he just throw an energy ball inside of you to where he summoned an entity to beat you up from the inside out? But that's none of my business. He seems to be able to summon green energy construct to where you can't do nothing and then you can get fed on or some crap. It's one of them situations to where you can actually be stronger than him, but he can help battlefield remove you, just teleport you somewhere else, like in this occasion, helping banish somebody somewhere else. And when it comes to the element of fire, he seems to love flaming skulls. When it comes to flame manipulation type stuff, there's implications he can use magic to turn into a flaming snake or cobra. Flame manipulation in his strikes could make his striking power a lot worse, or slicing power a lot worse, to be able to imbue his hands with blazing fire magical type stuff. And then if he just wants to keep his distance, he can just full blown just blast you with just straight up flame like a fire stream. He can make giant flame serpents to where he can just sit back and relax and the flaming serpent can hit you or strike you. This giant fiery snake thing is a common theme from Shang Tsung. We literally see him use it here, summoning it in a cutscene, so you know it's a part of the lore. And the part that makes this flaming serpent hex is that it can do what he can do. The famous, you say it with me, sucking your soul. No, seriously, he's obsessed with sucking souls in, even though he's amped in this particular occasion. He has a lot of means to getting stronger. You can legit be stronger than him at the beginning of the fight, but if he sucks your soul, he's going to get a buff from your own soul. Not to mention if he gets injured, he can use his reserves of energy or magic to heal himself like he does here. Like Shang Tsung was literally stabbed like this. But it's shown that he can heal himself, you know? Using souls for power output or increasing his power is a theme. Like, because even in a brand new game, Mortal Kombat 1, this is a newbie him. So he says once he learns how to wield or use its powers of the Well of Souls, he will become invincible, he says. So yeah, the souls does give him a buff.
Shang Tsung voraciously consumed Shao Kahn's soul, absorbing his immense power. Overwhelmed by his newfound sorcery,
this is in a perfect occasion of that. Like, you see him like this little soul tornado amping him up to give him more blast power to fight beings that are strong like Raiden or Deity. When he was in another dimension and weakened, of course, though. It's scary that like his knowledge about different ways to amp himself up is the reason why this super duper crown was so overpowered, and whoever got it would like get amped up beyond Elder God level. That just lets you know like how crazy Shang Tsung would be with prep time. Like, more than likely, when you see a lot of energy or some skeletons that are green, just know this is probably like soul manipulation, soul amp stuff. Or when his body just has like a greenish aura powering him up, just know that's soul amp type stuff. Seriously, if I was him, I would never get close up. The best way to get an understanding of these characters is striking power or just how strong they are, even without necessarily just counting Shang Tsung's blast power. I bring this up a lot in my Mortal Kombat videos, but this is important and crucial for the lore, is that these super moves, you know, these fatalities, obviously these ain't canon. Like this random character he's doing it to here in this particular example, he didn't actually do it to this character, but the fact is, when it comes to these super moves or fatalities, these characters actually have the strength in the lore to do similar stuff like this. Even if this particular situation at this exact moment isn't necessarily canon to the lore, they have the strength to do this kind of stuff. Examples would be like how Scorpion in cutscene narrative story mode type stuff can rip a literal head off with the spine connected to it, similar to the fatalities. So even though this is fun gameplay mechanic stuff, there's implications in the lore that these characters are actually this strong. But of course, stuff when these characters be turning each other into babies, that's not canon. That never happens in cutscenes and stuff. So you can kind of get an idea of what's canon and what's not canon by what you see in story cutscenes and stuff. We see this kind of stuff actually happen in cutscenes, not stuff like this. You just kind of got to use your critical thinking skills and common sense to figure out what's canon and what's not canon to their power levels, at least. Like, there's a lot of different characters with a lot of different strength levels, a lot of different power levels, magic, different elements the characters can use. But for the most part, when it comes to physicals, a lot of the characters are superhumanly strong to be able to do some similar stuff like this. Not to mention, it was even stated in story cutscene stuff.
The first Sub-Zero, Scorpion ripped out his spine. Scorpion ripped out his spine.
Left it in a heap upstairs in Shang Tsung's old throne room.
I don't see why this same stuff wouldn't apply for Shang Tsung. After all, he can amp his powers and stuff by stealing souls, and we've seen him do similar stuff like this in like his fatalities and his brutalities. Similar to how in the lore, he can actually do this in cutscenes like sucking your soul out. So similar to that in the brutality, other brutalities where he actually can punch or kick your head off with the spine connected to it kind of adds up with the lore as well. Simply ripping a head off isn't the same as ripping a head off with the spine connected to it. So we actually know that he has a brutality that can actually have your head come off with the spine connected to it. Now, if this feat was just the head by itself, it wouldn't be as impressive. The part that makes this feat impressive is this part right here, explained by YouTubers on why this is so hard, and this takes a lot more force than you would think. Shout out to YouTubers like this that are better than you and me with math combined. He calculated how much force this actually takes to be able to rip somebody's head off with their spine connected to it. Shang Tsung, just like other characters in Mortal Kombat, has this kind of power. It's like their theme in Mortal Kombat to be able to rip heads off with the spine connected to it. Can't really call it an outlier because that's like their common theme. Even though I will admit the writers probably didn't know this feat took this much force. I would advise you to check out his video for yourself to see I'm not bullcrapping. He came out with the fact that something like this would take hundreds of tons of force, meaning that Shang Tsung, just like a lot of other characters in Mortal Kombat when it comes to their striking power, he can hit with at least hundreds of tons of raw power. Based on this calculation, if we were to take it seriously, that would mean Shang Tsung, just like a lot of other Mortal Kombat characters, can exert hundreds of tons of force, or at least 100 tons of force with their kicks or punches or whatever. This is not even counting what Shang Tsung can do with his blast power, which is probably his better asset. This would be like saying Shang Tsung with just a simple kick, if he wanted to, just could launch a tank in the air, which is crazy to think about. Is this insanity or what? You got cases like this that show he can fight other beings that are superhumanly strong, like Liu Kang, for example. And straight up hand to hand, his body can withstand these type of hits too, to show he isn't a glass cannon. And no neck for you, Mr. Kang. Beings that are actually bigger than him, like Shao Kahn, he can kick and they kind of go flying backwards. Even in cutscene cinematics, it's implications he can punch real hard. Not only that, but parrying. You see how he can punch beings and they go flying that far. So it's proven he can punch hard in cutscenes when you see him do stuff like this. When you talk about his energy blast power, you can get an idea of how strong it is by how much he can do like that, showing he has the blast power to wipe out a lot of combatants with one single blast. You got a case of his blast power to be able to do this to break through pillars. You see this helicopter? This is clear indication of Shang Tsung's blast power, easily destroying vehicles like this with his magical blast are that potent. Fire blast. There's implications one could say his blast might even be better than his strikes, obviously, to where his fire blast power could actually drop helicopters, for Pete's sake. Like, there was this big old structure, looked like the size of some small houses or buildings. A lot of this rock, Shang Tsung was 1/3 of the help to be able to blast stuff like this down. But other people were trying to fix it as they was blasting it down. This is a noob Shang Tsung, rebooted timeline. He's nice and young. He's 1/3 strong enough to be able to blast stuff this big down, implying he could definitely blast down buildings. So something like this, his blast power can definitely blast apart, lean to the side, or tremble. Him being a top tier sorcerer, this is still technically lower end. One can say Shang Tsung's blast power full potential is way better than what we've even seen on screen, considering what other mages can do. Mages like Rain, who kind of look up the Shang Tsung's like magical knowledge, if we're being honest. So somebody that actually looks up to Shang Tsung, somebody that has the blast power to summon giant waves that can level all of this, like this whole city, beings like this that are mages that look up to Shang Tsung can pretty much summon destructive force that can wipe out an entire capital or city in this particular occasion by summoning this much water. This can maybe give you somewhat an idea of Shang Tsung being possibly able to do something like this. This being can cause a city to be laying in ruins. And it's this scene that I just mentioned, how he summoned a wave so powerful that it crushed the capital, causing a great city to lay in great ruins. So one can say there's a high likelihood, since Shang Tsung's like one of the top tier mages, he could be able to do something this destructive too with his magical knowledge, especially with his knowledge of having souls to amp himself up even further. There's a lot of discussions that can be had about Shang Tsung being able to make something that could devastate an entire city with one magical blast or something, or a giant flame cobra to do something like this. What do you think? Do you think Shang Tsung could summon something to wipe out an entire city with a blast or energy blast with his magic and stuff? Okay, so when we're talking about the hierarchy of Mortal Kombat, you got the mortals, you got the demigods, deities like Raiden, you got beings that are even higher, beings known as Satrion, and then you got beings in the hierarchy that's even higher, known as Titan, at the top of the food chain. Just to give you an idea of Satrion's power, Shang Tsung in his base state, along with deities like Fujin, it was even stated they was to go fight Satrion in this particular moment. Despite Shang Tsung being really strong in his base state, along with having Fujin, they even stated that their combined powers couldn't stop her. So let you know how strong she is in the hierarchy. You're probably wondering why am I bringing this up? I'm bringing this up because when everybody pretty much teamed up on Cetrion, Shang Tsung was one of the beings that helped banish her away, like I mentioned pretty early in this video. When he summoned his giant flaming snake, it was able to do all of this. Cetrion, a being that can apparently grow with her superpowers, her different abilities, one of them being she can grow real big and increase her weight and push that weight against you and stuff, implies she can grow to the size of continents or even bigger than cities, and apparently blast city-sized blast if she really needed to. Him being able to somewhat damage beings that can apparently grow this big, if we assume she has similar durability to when she's small, that would pretty much back up what I said earlier about how Shang Tsung could be able to blast away a city like other mages can, mages that look up to him. Him making a giant green flame if he's amped up with souls that can engulf a city, that's interesting to think about. What do you guys think about that though? Do you think Shang Tsung can create energy blasts this crazy? When it comes to this occasion with Kronika the Titan, in his base form, he's obviously not a match for such a being that's above elder gods. But when a being like Fujin got amped up by the crown, it kind of changed the odds. It's like occasions like this that imply that Shang Tsung should be way above just city shattering, based on how strong some of these other beings are. Shang Tsung even helped summon entities to kind of damage her in this particular occasion after Fujin had blasted her, the deity had blasted her. They're both teaming up and working together. I mentioned this earlier in the video, but yeah, I'm back to it. Yeah, this crown that he designed, it's one of the reasons why a being can become top tier. I mean, throughout this video, it's pretty much proven why he's a beast, but this is where power levels get ridiculous. Like, he pretty much raises his power level beyond pretty much all your favorites, even the top tiers. This is important for the understanding how strong he is when it comes to stuff like his blast power, overall power output in general. Since the crown is his design, he has the best understanding of it. He's like the worst possible person for a villain to even get this crown. He's so good with it when he instantly put it on. It instantly powered him up and returned him to his prime, or one can say youth, further making him more dangerous and can fly and stuff. There's even statements like Kronika, the Titan that's above elder gods, even stated it was wise for her to banish such a being like Shang Tsung, because with this crown, he is her equal. You're probably thinking this is just a statement, there's no proof of this. Well, trust me, there's plenty of proof of this statement being backed up. Two gods like Fujin and Raiden, for example, they are literally no match for him when he has this crown, speed. He's able to parry everything. They can't even land a solid hit, slinging Raiden himself down. And Shang Tsung with this crown said that's too easy. Raiden, a deity. We've actually seen Raiden getting in scuffles with elder god level beings like Shinnok. Might I add that Raiden was technically weakened in this scan? Like it was stated here in narration that when the powerful beings clash, they're talking about Raiden and Shao Kahn. Their fight made the very core of the earth shake. Knowing that beings like Raiden can do stuff like this, wouldn't that by default make him, when it comes to his blast power and just raw energy, blunt, concussive output, he should be able to do something similar? Having the raw power to actually tremble the earth is crazy. I mean, what do you think he would do to a smaller planetoid like the moon if he can tremble the earth itself or the planet itself? Blocking Raiden's attacks like it ain't nothing. And just when you thought it couldn't get any worse when it comes to his power, two deities that are comparable to each other. We know Raiden can shake the core of the planet, apparently, and Shang Tsung just increases his power by absorbing some of them to make it even worse, making him look old and wrinkly. This guy just keeps on getting more powerful, absorbing random souls. He has all the powers he usually can do, including shapeshift and look like other people. Remember before he couldn't really hurt Kronika, but now his blast power can in his base state because of this crown now. He's that powered up when before he couldn't even hurt her really. Somebody, might I add, that's above the elder god rank, just in case y'all forgot. Like, this girl right here is stronger than her at her best. Even though in this game she was weakened because of the temporal Armageddon, it seems like all that stuff is irrelevant when you compare her to Shang Tsung anyway. Even at her best, she still would be below this version of Shang Tsung because she's stronger than Cetrion at her best. She's a Titan. She's a higher rank in overall general. On top of the fact, Shang Tsung is literally stealing the souls from everybody, y'all. It's funny, he used to be their lackeys. Now he's just amping himself up by absorbing their souls, giving himself more power now. Like, this guy's just getting stronger every second. Powered up more than beyond belief. She says he's not a Titan or whatever, but he got her reeling. Guess what? He absorbed her soul. Bro, he's crazy, man. Literally stated he got Kronika's power. He's basically a Titan. I want you guys to remember that Kronika absolutely absorbed the essence of an actual elder god, so this Kronika that Shang Tsung beat was not easy. Yo, some of the most top tier beings were literally fused together in one, and Shang Tsung still had to beat her. This happened in the Mortal Kombat DLC too, main story and the DLC that Shang Tsung fought, so by the way, so yeah. They literally merged. You can literally see the energy transfer to Kronika, and this is what Shang Tsung had to beat, guys. Just to give you an idea. So she basically has the abilities that Cetrion has. That means since Shang Tsung absorbed the power from her, that means Shang Tsung would technically have all the power of Cetrion too. So not only is he above Cetrion, he's above her, but he's even higher than all of this. It's off. His power is off the chart. Shang Tsung technically has the power of an Elder God. This same Elder God, apparently through fatalities, you can get to see what abilities she can do when it comes to her growth ability. She can apparently grow bigger than cities and bigger than continents and islands and stuff, apparently. Whatever she can do, Shang Tsung can do better currently. All of this stuff would technically mean Shang Tsung should be able to grow as big as a planet or small planetoid, bigger than countries or even cities, because he has the abilities of Kronika and Cetrion. The thought of Shang Tsung growing bigger than the Earth or the same size as the Earth is scary, meaning he can grow as big as the moon or some smaller moons or something like that. You're probably thinking, Cetrion can't actually grow big. I beg to differ. What about this scene right here? Apparently that actually happened. It's actually canon to the new game, by the way. Shang Tsung can just casually get super duper large, implying that Cetrion actually can grow really large because he can grow large thanks to absorbing Cetrion and stuff now. As you can see, like, yo, he's just bigger than buildings. You know what I mean? He's not as big as our planet here, but there's implications he could do that because he got the ability to get large too. You know what I mean? He's a Titan now. Usually these type of things have one canon ending, but in this particular instance, both these endings are technically canon because these two released energies that split time's fabric and made multiple different timelines. One timeline when Liu Kang won, another timeline where Shang Tsung actually won against Fire God Liu Kang, Titan Liu Kang, even absorbed his soul just like that and got his crazy godlike power. To where he got lightning, you see the lightning projection, like he has lightning too, and fire, like all the stuff. And that's when he used the hourglass to shape the timeline as he sees fit. Like this is Shang Tsung not amped with the crown, but this is Titan Shang Tsung. Like, yeah, the different timelines of, yeah, different character designs, but this is the same Shang Tsung from the previous game that battled Liu Kang for the hourglass that I showed like literally 5 seconds ago. Like this is immeasurable type energy, but apparently he doesn't need this crown no more to still be considered a Titan. He's just ridiculously powerful now. He says their battle released mammoth energies which ripped apart time's fabric, where the fight literally had two conclusions, two different timelines. You know how Shao Kahn will merge Outworld and stuff? Shang Tsung's trying to merge timeline into his own. Like, yo, how does a battle release so much colossal energy you literally create multiple different timelines or universes? Energies released to rip apart time's fabric of the cosmos or universe. Like, how do you measure this? On some cosmic type stuff? That's crazy. They basically created a multiverse. Oh yeah, you don't believe me about the multiverse stuff? Matter of fact, there's so many timelines. There's like a whole bunch of Titans now. Kronika's not the only Titan no more. Like, you want to get an idea of how many? I think this scene pretty much shows you how many timelines it is. Basically creating a multiverse. Yes, yeah, you see there's actually a good Shang Tsung to help. That's a lot of timelines that they created from their one fight. Ripping apart time's fabric. Energy releasing from a Titan. Shang Tsung and Liu Kang made a whole multiverse with different timelines and stuff, basically producing an immeasurable type of energy that can't really be calculated. I mean, how do you calculate the power needed to pretty much rip apart time's fabric and make new timelines or universes, with each universe having multiple different realms like Earth Realm, Udenia, and making other Titans from the chain reaction? You know, it just gets crazy. What do you think? The Shang Tsung from the dark end actually got to fight Titan Liu Kang again, the Liu Kang that actually won. And you get to see that they're evenly matched to some degree. Two Titans being at the top of the hierarchy. Shang Tsung is matching them blow for blow. Matter of fact, as a Titan, Shang Tsung was so powerful that if he's not there anymore, like say if he dies or something, he holds the timeline together. It even states the timeline without Shang Tsung to hold it together, it's falling apart. So Shang Tsung literally in his Titan state needs to be alive, or the timeline, the dimension, or the universe itself will not survive. That's just crazy. So you know how each of these strands is timelines, like I'm just using this picture for reference, of course, this is a Marvel picture, but yeah, each timeline has their own like dimensions, universal reality, outcomes, stuff like that. And let's just say Shang Tsung was holding this one together right here, for example. If he's to leave it, then this timeline itself will be freaking lost a dimension. A universe will collapse without him in it. But that's none of my business. But before I get going, everybody, you gotta respect Shang Tsung. Even without all this Titan power, he's still a threat, especially with prep time. You gotta respect his power. I mean, he's gonna summon a big giant skull of flame to eat you or some crap, right? That's bigger than the city itself, and it fits in his mouth or something. Nah, let me stop playing. But y'all, you gotta remember that your soul is Shang Tsung's. And before I get going, everybody, respect Shang Tsung And thanks for the donations, everybody. You gotta respect this mighty sorcerer. Oh my goodness, how strong do you think he was as a Titan? But that's none of my business. I'm glad you are enjoying your time on the channel. Make sure you check out the playlist on the channel to see other How Strong videos. If you like what this channel is offering, make sure you hit that subscribe button, and I will see you guys later.